as you can see, Jack is joining us, and he is full of energy and wants all of my attention. So I thought maybe if I sat down, he would go to sleep. I thought we would do my January wrap up. It is currently the 13th of November. I'm trying to rush 2025 along. I think we all are. It is currently the 13th of February, and I just have not had the time to do a face-to-face video. I'm currently on a mini... Go potty, hurry and get back in bed. Go, it's nap time, baby. I'm not gonna keep playing with you. I'm currently on a mini vacation, so I have time to film a whole bunch of videos, and that's what I'm doing. I'll have even more time this weekend because my best friend, the saint that she is keeping my tiny human for me. So I get some self-care time and hopefully some time to do a few videos I've been wanting to do and just haven't had the time to. So yeah, I'm also working on my Tiny Ones blanket. This one is one that I started 3 years ago when I was pregnant with her. So this piece here, I started 3 years ago and then have been slowly working on it. And I'm almost done. My ball is getting so small, and I decided earlier, well, I decided when I was folding clothes, I was gonna fold one bag of clothes and then I would take a break and then I would fold the other bag, and I put them all away and everything, and decided why not, while I'm taking a break, I'm gonna work on her blanket, hopefully maybe finish it in the next hour to two. And then I would film this video for you guys too. I'm also waiting for somebody to go to bed so I can pick up her toys and vacuum her room, because my nephews will be here tomorrow to play, and I just want to make sure everything's out of the floor. One of them is slowly learning to crawl. He's trying. Rai is getting so big. He is 5 months old, and so I want to let him kind of play in the floor and stuff. So I want to make sure everything's cleaned up. Yeah, so we're gonna do my January wrap up. I finished a total of 14 books in January, and that number is actually pretty big. I was looking at them comparatively, and I don't have my commonplace in front of me, but I think it is actually one lower than last year, and last year was one lower than 2023, and that was the year I realized I could listen to audiobooks at work. So I went ham that year. This year has been pretty good as far as books go because I can listen to audiobooks, and I learned that the Houston Library, if you are a Texas resident, as long as you are a Texas resident and can verify the address that's on your ID, you can get a digital library card and borrow books from Houston, the Houston Library, which obviously is huge, and it's a huge thing that they do. It's wonderful that they do it free for Texas residents. A lot of cities like Dallas if you want one from Dallas, it's $10 a year, I think. Don't quote me on that. I know Greenville a couple of years ago, if you weren't in the Greenville city line, it was $20 a year because I lived right outside the Greenville city line, but I wasn't anywhere where there was a public library, so I had to pay that $20. You've already pottied. Don't put that toy away and go to bed now. You're 2 seconds away from getting in trouble, little mama. I'm not playing. Yes, ma'am. So yeah, I got a Houston Library card, which was wonderful because I've been able to finish so many books that I wanted to. And I finished a whole series for my first book of the year. Actually, I finished a whole series that I've been trying to finish, but reading them physically has not worked for me. And my library did not have the audiobook. The little library in California, the Arborium, I believe is the name of the city. I could be saying that wrong. They don't have it on audio as well, but Houston did. So without further ado, the first book I finished was King of Crows by Libba Bray. That is the fourth in the Diviner series, fourth and final. I felt like this one, it was an okay ending to a great series. If you like paranormal ghost stories, the series is for you. If you don't mind a little teenage angst, there's not a whole bunch. This one's for you. This series follows Evie. Evie O'Neill is a flapper girl, and she goes to a party one night, gets drunk on illegal alcohol, and does her trick that she does for everybody. She takes a ring of a very well-known, very powerful young man in her city, and she reads it. And she finds out that he got his maid pregnant. And before she can think of it, because she is loose on good water, as she calls it, she tells everybody. And he denies it. So her parents come to her after everybody has sobered up and says that he's demanding a apology. And Evie refuses. And she's like, I know he did it. I saw it. He did it. I'm not apologizing for something I know is true. And so her parents send her to New York to live with her uncle until it all basically, where is the word I'm looking for? Till it all blows over. There's the word I'm looking for, blow. And her uncle runs, I could not think of the proper name for this museum because they call it the Museum of the Creepy Crawlies, and that has stuck, and I can't think of it. It has an official name. That is not it. But he runs that, and so he's really into the occult and paranormal activities and like kind of understanding what's behind the veil. And he gets wrapped into some murders that are being committed that his police buddy wants his opinion on. They think it's occult related. And so that's what happens. And so you get the first of the series. And honestly, the series is so good. Like I said, I finished King of Crows, which is the last one. I personally believe the ending was a little too fast. And sometimes I reserve judgment to talk about a book, the plot being too easy or too fast or too convenient, because I listen to them on audio and I listen to them pretty fast. So sometimes I can tell, like, okay, I listened to that too fast. That's what that is. It's not the book's fault. It's a me fault. But this one, even when I slowed it down and re-listened to it, because I thought, okay, maybe I listened to it too fast. No, it just happened too fast. I think that the final battle was done and over really quickly and really easily for everything they've been through the series. And it was meh, honestly. I gave it 3 stars. It was not awful. I will not be purging it from my shelves. If somebody asked me if I read that, I would say yes. I would still highly recommend it, especially looking for a really creepy audiobook, because in each book there's a creepy little song that goes along with it, and the audiobook sings them to you. And so it dials that creep factor up another notch. Absolutely love it. Next, I finished Veronica Ruiz, I believe that's how you say it. I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Breaks the Bank, which is Finlay Donovan 0.5. Like, it's the prequel to Finlay Donovan. It's how Veronica and Finlay met. And it was so good. One second. Evangeline Ollie Mae, put them toys down and lay down right now. If I have to come in there, you're going to get a spanking. This is your 3rd warning. You know after the 3rd one, you get a spanking. Yes, ma'am? Lay down now. Put the toys down and lay down. It's time for nap time. You got it? Okay. As short as this was, it was the most convoluted, and I use that word in a very, very good context, book I have ever read. I was hooked. I listened to this again. It was on audio, thanks to the Houston Library. No, I'm not going to stop singing their praises. You're going to get sick of hearing about them from me. But first off, Veronica is a power in her own in the Finlay books. Like, she is down with all the bullshit that Finlay puts her through, and like, she is down with it the entire time. So to see that wasn't something Finlay brought out in her, Veronica was already there, and I just loved it. I loved every minute of it. I loved the little mystery we got. For as short as it was, I did not feel like that mystery was rushed. I felt like it was really good paced, that we learned all the information we needed to. It wasn't too convenient. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Next, I finished A Court This Cruel and Lovely. I have no clue where I got this recommendation from. I really don't. It was on my TBR list in Libby that I had made from the library. And then when I got the Houston Library card and added to it, it started sending me notifications. Hey, this book from your wish list is available. This book, and this was one of them, and it was available to be read. So I was like, why not? I'm gonna give it a try. It was actually really good. Again, don't know where this came from. I don't know if I got it from TikTok, if it was like a YouTube video that had them in it, or if it was like a Pinterest post I saw with a bunch of books that I was like, you know what, I like this one, this one, this one. Let's give that fourth one a try. No clue. This follows a girl who, in her world, everyone at birth their magic is stripped from them. So you get your magic stripped and it goes to the king basically. And then once you hit 25 winter, so your 25th birthday, you get your powers back, basically. And it opens up to them in the square, and come to find out, she has power that she's not supposed to have. And she doesn't know why or what's going on. They are doing a ceremony where somebody of 25 winters is getting their powers back. And to get your power back, they have to test first, do you have power? So did you keep your power from the gods, from the king? And if you didn't, then they give you your power back. Well, come to find out, somebody kept their powers from the king. And when that happens, what they do is the Inquisitor goes around and tests everyone in their immediate circle to see if, are you keeping power too? Like, basically birds of a feather flock together kind of thing. And so her mother makes her run because they know she has power she's not supposed to have. And she's always dreamt of stealing one of the stones they use to strip the power, to take her power away. That way she didn't get in trouble. And her mother's like, that won't work for you. That won't work for you. You need to run. So she gets away and ends up with some mercenaries. And that's as far as I'm going to tell you. Just things happen and it's really good. And I have seen that it's very popular because I cannot get my hands on the third one. The library has a 4 to 5 month wait, and it's on Spotify. Only thing is, they're at least 16 to 17 hours long, meaning I could start it. I definitely could start it, but Spotify only gives you 15 hours of audiobook before you're done until next month. And I don't want to do that. Ollie, I can hear the toys. Put them down and lay down now. Put the toys away. You're not supposed to be playing. Now. Okay, don't touch them again. Yes, ma'am? But this series is really, really good. So, highly recommend. Next, which was 5-star read, by the way. Next, I finished Adrift in Currents, Clean and Clear. I always want to say clear and clean, but it's clean and clear. This one, Shauna Aguirre, in my opinion, can do no wrong with the Wayward Children series. I will read any of them that they decide to write, because I'm not sure what their pronouns are. This one is a world of giant sea turtles. And when I saw the turtles on the cover, I knew I had to have it. Because, which I don't think I've shared on YouTube. Turtles are a good omen for me, I have learned. My best friend in the entire world, turtles are her favorite, and she has a turtle tattooed on her chest. And it's funny to me because she has always loved turtles. It is something that just makes her smile. And when I say she is my best friend in the world, she is. No matter what we go through, no matter what I'm going through, she is there. She supports me, she loves me, and I do the same for her. There is no judgment, none of that. She is a rock star. My partner, Ollie's other parent, has a turtle tattooed on her neck. And one of the reasons I actually started to date her and decided that, okay, maybe this one's for me, maybe God's sending a sign, is because of that turtle. And she has been called turtle before in her life, and it is definitely a good description for her. She is a turtle. She is a turtle. Well, that seemed all coincidence, right? Until my car, my first car I bought myself, got repoed. I couldn't afford it, and I knew I couldn't. I was playing the waiting game on that one, and so it got repoed, and I was a mess. But I had just got my tax refund last year, so I decided to go see what I could find for a used car, just to get me an all the way around, get us where we need to go. And I happened to come across the only car I could afford on the lot. Well, the only car that I was willing to afford on the lot. I could have afforded another one, but I wouldn't have had anything left. Just happened to be blue. I call her Baby, which is Blue Beauty. She's like a seafoam blue. It looks like a fucking turtle when you look at it. And honestly, she has been the best car I could have ever asked for. We have taken her to Houston a couple times. We drive the hell out of her, and she has yet to break down. She has yet to do anything. Like, the most we've had to put in her is tires and headlights. That is it. And she's a 2006. And for you out there not wanting to do the math, she'll be 20 next year. 20 years old. This car is almost 20 years old, and not a breakdown. Nothing. Highly recommend. Absolutely love. BB is a tramp. But she looks like a turtle. So when I saw that this book had a turtle on it, I knew I needed to read it. And I'm so happy I did. The ending, I was bawling on the ending. If you've never picked up this series, I have to say I highly recommend, because it is one of the best ones I have read. John McGuire's Wayward Children series follows these children who basically don't feel like they fit in at home, for whatever reason it may be. And each one of them happens to come across a doorway that says "Be sure." And sometimes they fall through the doorway, sometimes they open the door on their own. But it always says "Be sure" before they do. And they end up in these magical worlds that are a perfect fit for them. The first book, we're following a home for them to go to where they're waiting for their door to come back for them. So for one reason or another, the door spit them back out. Their home, where they felt at home, did not want them anymore. Sometimes it's nothing they did. The door just decides, or they become unsure in some way or another and end up back here. And so the first one is a murder mystery. But other than the first, really all of them you could read in whatever order you wanted to. I read them all in order and absolutely loved them. This one, we're following a young girl who gets taken from her orphanage in Russia, where she was happy to live with a family in America, and they try to make her their perfect American daughter. And she is obsessed with turtles. The first thing that her adoptive parents take her to see when she gets to America is a turtle pond down from their house. And that's where she finds peace. That's where she finds solace, is the turtle pond. And I don't want to spoil it, but basically one day she's upset, so she goes down to the turtle pond to feel better. And she comes across a turtle that has "Be sure" carved in its back in Russian. And she is livid. Who would do that to a turtle? Why would you do that to a turtle? They're peaceful creatures. They've never hurt anybody. She is mad. And as she goes out to make sure the turtle is okay and to get it, to take it to the vet, she's upset and worried about this turtle, she falls through the door and ends up in a world where turtles talk. They're huge. You ride them, and yeah, it was a 5-star read. If you can't tell how long I rattled on about it, I highly recommend everyone pick it up. You do not have to pick up the rest of the series to pick up this one. I loved every minute of it. The ending, though, will have you bawling your eyes out. You will just bawl because it's gut-wrenching what she has to go through. But the next one I finished was A House That Horror Built. And honestly, sitting here doing this now that it's been almost a month since I finished it, meh. I gave it 3 stars. I went into this thinking it was going to be better than it was. If you're... I can't really give you the tropes for it because it would spoil it. This is following a young single mom who has been cleaning house for this director who directed famous occult horror movies. So it's not like mainstream fame, it's like occult fame. So people who are in the know love his movies. And her and her son are, they live in New York. They're below poverty line. She's doing the best she can, and things start happening around them. That basically she ends up having to move into this mansion with this man. And while the mystery itself, I never felt like it was the focus. I really didn't. I felt like more of her worry was the focus, but then she didn't do anything to fix it. Like, there were blatant red flags that she never once, tried to fix. She questioned it, but never tried to fix it. She was just like, well, we are living with him, it's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. She never tried to fix it, and that frustrated me. As a single mom, first off, there is no way I'm moving in with somebody I don't know. I don't care if this is my last option. We are not, no, that's murder. That is nightmare fuel. That is what that is. That is nightmare fuel. Secondly, you move in because you have nowhere else to go, and you're like, okay, well, I've been cleaning for him for a while. I think I can trust him. It'll be fine. It's just for a month or 2. And then shit starts happening in the house. No, we're out. We're out. Me and my son, we're out. Even if I have to sleep in my car, we are out. There are homeless shelters. There are ways for us to get to where we need to go. Not doing it. Nope, done. But she never does that. And that was frustrating. Next is one that I finished 90% of and then just couldn't continue. And so I'm going to tell you my rating, tell you what it was called. We're going to move on because it is one of those weird girl fictions that it did not make sense. And I don't mean the bunny sense where it's not supposed to make sense to you. You're supposed to enjoy the ride. This was supposed to make sense and it just never did. And that is We Were Restless Things, and I gave it 2.5 stars. Which, in reality, if I had went with my first mind, I would have DNF'd it then. But I was like, no, you know what? We're going to try to finish it. Should have left it alone. Didn't, but I should have. And then, there's not an and then, there's still 7 more we need to talk about. Okay, next. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so next 2 are 5-star reads, which I'm really excited to tell you about. So we're on to a higher trend. And then we kind of go down from there, but we'll talk about it. Next, I finished Antique Hunter's Guide to Murder. If you read How to Solve Your Own Murder, which came out last year, I read it last December, I believe, and liked it. If you like that campy, funny, amateur sleuth-like mysteries, if you like the Finley Donovan series, you're going to love this. This is about a woman who she went through a divorce to a narcissistic asshole, and they have been divorced for a while now. Her daughter just turned 18 and went to college, and now her asshole of an ex is taking their house. He had agreed to let her keep the house as long as their daughter was in it, but as soon as she moved out to college, she had to sell. She gets a call from her wacky, extravagant? Is that the word I'm looking for? No. I can't think of the words. It's eluding me. It'll hit me in a minute. Her aunt, who is a little on the cuckoo side, and lets her know that Arthur has died. Arthur was her mentor in antique hunting, and he has been. Her aunt believes it was murder. The cops believe it was an accident, that he just fell down the stairs because he was old. And she's like, will you please come back home and help me with his funeral and stuff? He didn't have any family. Her and her aunt were the only family he knew. So, of course, she agrees, like, fine, I'll come. Not for Arthur, for you. Something happened in Cairo. You're not sure what it was, but something happened in Cairo that ended her antique hunting career. And she married her husband right after and went home to be a mom and a housewife. So she's not really done anything else with her life but take care of her daughter in their home. And now, no, I'm wrong. Actually, I can't remember. No, that's How to Solve Your Own Murder. She's writing a murder mystery. So she goes back to try to solve this murder or try to console her aunt and see if it really was a murder. She comes upon it was a murder. And Arthur has set up this whole thing to try to figure it out. When I say it was like a cozy mystery where I want to say things weren't convenient, actually, this one never felt like they were convenient. I think in cozy mysteries, sometimes it feels like it was very conveniently laid out for the character just to stumble upon. This one wasn't that way. It took a lot of work for her to figure out what was going on, and there is always somebody trying to stop her or prevent her from knowing what she needs to know, kind of thing. And she doesn't really have the issue of the police not wanting her to know what's going on because they think it's an accident. They are determined that it's an accident, but the only issue is they couldn't get into his antique shop to really test, because as soon as they get in there to get his body and everything, and they close up, the alarm's set, and no one knows the alarm code, and her aunt have to solve the riddles to figure it out that Arthur left them. It was a 5-star read. I loved it so much. Like I said, I highly recommend it. If you like Finley Donovan, you'll love this one. Next, I finished one that was sent to me for review, and there is a book journal spread, which I need redemption on. I do not like the way it turned out, but c'est la vie. And that is Harlem Rhapsody. This book is a historical fiction about a historical figure that actually lived, and I think it's something that we need to know more about. I think that we as a society should have known more about her, but we didn't. Okay, so this is a historical figure I feel like we need to know more about, and we should, but I had never heard of her until literally I got this book for review. And that is, where is my last stitch? Okay, I got it off there. Well, that is Miss Jessie Faust. So she was the midwife to the Harlem Renaissance, and that's what Langston Hughes called her. She worked as the chief literary executive to W.E.B. Du Bois's magazine. His magazine was the first black magazine written for black people, and Miss Jessie did the literary editing for it. And this story follows her and W.E.B. Du Bois. I always want to say his name like crowded. And their affair and what happened. I found it so interesting. The book reads like a best friend writing you letters about their life and just updating you what's happening. Jessie jumped off the page for me. She feels like a good friend that I knew. She was so charismatic and so headstrong and knew what she wanted and fought for what she wanted in a time before women were really allowed to do that, especially black women. And I think that any poet, anybody who writes should know who she is. She was a poet herself, and she was a writer herself. And like I said, she edited work from some of the big names. The one that stood out most, obviously, to me was Langston Hughes. And that's because I had knew of Langston and had Googled him already because of the Diviners. In the Diviners, Memphis is also a poet, and one of the poets he looks up to in the 1920s is Langston Hughes. And in this book, we see Langston Hughes as a gangly teenager, as he's starting with his poetry, starting to find himself, and Jessie publishes him in the magazine, and he kind of gets his start to fame. It, like I said, it was so good. It was a 5-star read, and all my opinions, I just want to say, are my own. This is not because they sent it to me for free. If it was awful, I would tell you that, but this one was just so good, and I can't wait to read more of this author's work. And I hope she writes more about little known, figures that we should know in history, because there's so many everyday average people who made history what it was, and we don't know about them. We will never know about them unless we write about them, unless we do research, and I think it's something that we should know. Next, I finished Do Not Disturb by Freida McFadden, and I'm actually going to throw Do Not Disturb and The Crash in as one. We're going to talk about both of those real quick, because I think I've read too much Freida at this point, and I need to take a break. Do Not Disturb is about a woman who is fleeing after she has murdered her husband, and she gets stuck at this hotel where a girl has already died. So, like, in room 101, somebody has already died, and she has come across this little motel because she had no other choice. She was trying to stay, blizzard blew in, and she had to stay here. And the innkeeper seems a little creepy. There's a little old lady who says that she's a medium, who seems a little creepy. There's a lot of creep going on here, and the cops have just found her husband's body, but of course everything's snowed in. The innkeeper lies for her and says that she's not there when the cops come asking. She thinks he's going to murder her, and things just kind of take off from there. The Crash follows a young pregnant woman as she is trying to get to her brother after she has refused to take her baby daddy's hush money. So she was at her brother's resort one night and gets really, really drunk, meets this man, thinks she has consensual, with him, and she ends up pregnant. She contacts him after she sees him on the news and finds out who he really is, and so he sends a lawyer to her to offer her money, like a lot of money, to never tell anyone that this baby's father is him. And finally, toward the end, she decides, no, I'm not doing it. She comes to discover that it was not consensual. He drugged her. He comes into her apartment to sign the papers with her, and when he does, she realizes, she smells his cologne, and it brings back all the memories, and she realizes what's happened, and she runs to her brother. She's running to her brother, and takes a wrong turn off the highway, and ends up crashing in this blizzard. Then she's like, okay, so me and little Tuna are gone. We're not gonna make it, kind of thing. And a truck comes by and saves her out of it. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna take you to my house because there's no way we're making it to the hospital tonight. My wife is a nurse. We'll stay there for a day or two, and then we'll take you to the hospital. She's like, okay, please, I need to go to the hospital. And turns out the wife is not all there. She is not playing with a full deck at all. And that's kind of where the story goes. I talked about these two together because the twist was almost the same in both. And I think I read them too close together because I called the twist in The Crash based on the one from Do Not Disturb. I also found in The Crash the wife to be annoying and just rage baity. And maybe it's because I'm a mom, but it was very, very rage baity to me. Very, very just frustrating. She was frustrating. I actually read when I'm on the walking pad. So sometimes when I walk on the walking pad, I usually read a book. And The Crash I was reading. And I literally was so ready to be done with this book that I fast forward. Like, I was tempted to fast forward through it and just be done. If I could have reached my phone on the walking pad, I would have fast forwarded and been done with it because I was done. Like, she annoyed me to no end. Yeah. Next, after Do Not Serve, so I finished Killing Jesus, A History. I thought this was super interesting. I am not going to give a rating to it. I think on Spoilergraph I gave it like 3 stars. It was a little dry. It was not like some of the other nonfiction I like to read that's very entertaining and more story-like. But this one was just a little dry. I really enjoyed it. I thought the information was very well laid out, and like there's some crossovers I didn't think of, I didn't see. There's a lot of connections that were drawn that I didn't see. If you're looking to pick this one up, I just want to point out it does not follow the Bible story very closely. It is a history, so it is a historical accounting of what happened. So it's not solely focused on Jesus. It's what happened while he was alive. So it's just the story of the actual history of it. So you get a lot of Julius Caesar and a lot of that where you're learning everything and not just the man himself. So I enjoyed it. Next, I finished my favorite of the month, and I own it. I cannot wait to reread and annotate, which, let me know, that may be a monthly thing I do, which is annotate with me's. I'm excited to do it. If you're interested in it, let me know, because I have a couple on my shelf already that I would love to reread and annotate, and I could film that for you guys, where I read what I'm going to read during the day kind of thing, write it in pencil, and then add it in pen later. I did that with A Court of Thorns and Roses, so if you want to see what I'm referencing, you can look at that video on my channel. Let me know. What do you think? The Spell Shop. This is for fans of bookshops and bone dust and legends and lattes, like that cozy fantasy element. So you're following a librarian, and she has been working with magical tomes her entire career. She lives in the capital city, and she works at the Capitol Library. Magic is not for everyone. It is only supposed to be used by people who are sanctioned by the Crown. If you are caught using magic and you are not sanctioned by the Crown, you will be prosecuted and likely die. And the book starts out with her magical plant assistant running in telling her the library is on fire. And she is sitting there trying to decide, what books do I take with me? If I am gonna have to escape the fire, what books do I take with me? And he's like, we have to leave now. And so they're rolling down the aisle, and she's grabbing books off the shelf as they're rolling. And I was like, yeah, this is gonna be my kind of book. And so her and her plant are trying to figure out, where do we go from here? Where do I go? I don't know. I've not left the library in years. Like, she realizes that she has not had interaction with another human in literal years. Like, if she wants food, she just sends a request down the tube and food is brought to her. If she needs only people she really interacts with is people asking for manuscripts, and even then she's not really interacting with them. She's just getting a slip of paper saying they need this manuscript, and she's sending it out, kind of thing. So she ends up back at home. Her family's ancestral house, and things take off from there, is cozy fantasy. She grows a garden. Like, it's so cozy and so good. The plant has anxiety. He's a spider plant with anxiety, and I fucking loved him. He made this book. All of it was. He is overly worried about her. He threatens multiple people for her, like he's not a plant. And there may be even a little bit of plant love there, and it's just so fucking cute. I can't wait for the next one. I want more. I want more. So if the author happens to see this video, which the internet is a crazy place, I would love more. I want more cozy fantasy. I absolutely love it. I want all the cozy fantasy. If you have any cozy fantasy recs, leave them below because I am eating them up. And then lastly, so I finished The Crash Next, but last book we're going to talk about is My Plain Jane. Oh, actually, there's two more. My bad. I wrote on the same line. That's why. There's two more, but we're going to talk about them as one. My Plain Jane and My Calamity Jane. So I finished the Lady Janie series. I want more. Their humor is so funny. The second narrator is hilarious. If you've never heard of the Lady Jane series, I'm sure you've seen the Amazon show for the first one, which I can't think of the name of it for the life of me. Is it My Lady? Yeah, My Lady Jane is the first one. And it's retellings of historical figures named Jane. And in My Plain Jane, you're following Jane Austen? Question mark? I believe. Don't quote me on this. As she becomes a governess to Ratcliffe and basically ghosts. This one has ghosts. It has a ghost story in it, and it was so cute. I gave it 5 stars. I love the Janes. They have a special place in my heart. I read them back to back, so My Plain Jane kind of blends in with My Calamity Jane just a little bit for me because I read them so close. But they are a funny retelling of history. There is twists and turns through them all. Like I said, My Plain Jane has ghosts, and she can see ghosts and talk to them, kind of thing. Her best friend in the book happens to be a ghost, and no one can see them but her. And the book starts out because the girl's home she's been living in and a teacher at, like she lived there, and then as soon as she turned 18, they hired her as a teacher. Their headmaster is murdered, which the man deserved to die. He had been starving them. He had left them in the cold. He was an awful human being, and he was murdered. And she can see his ghost, and it ends up where these ghost hunters come to see about ridding him of ghosts. She goes to a tavern to see how they get rid of ghosts, what they do with the ghosts, and she does not like the way they handle things. But one of the ghost hunters in particular sees her see ghosts, and that sounds like an awful freaking sentence. Basically, he observes the fact that she can see ghosts and tries to recruit her to work for them, and she's like, fuck no, I don't like how y'all treat them. Y'all don't treat them like they're humans. Y'all don't treat them like they're entities with their own mind. You just trapped her in a fucking teapot and left her. No, I don't want to do that. No. And so he comes to the school to try to recruit her. It ends up catching the ghost of the headmaster in a teapot. It starts the whole story. It's really good. It's hilarious. It's funny. Your narrators pop in every once in a while to give you like subjective comments and stuff. If you see the Amazon show, it's a lot like that. It's so good. And then My Calamity Jane is actually following Annie Oakley. Well, it follows Jane, but Annie Oakley plays a big part into it. This Jane is dealing with werewolves, and they call them the Guru. And the Guru they're hunting Guru. So Calamity Jane is a Guru hunter. And, yeah, I don't want to say more than that because I don't want to ruin it, but it's really, really good too. Like, it's really, really good. And there's even a LGBT love interest. It's a sapphic love story too. Just FYI, I mean, if you want to pick it up, there is a sapphic love story. And you don't have to read the first 2 first either. Just saying. I gave that one 4 stars. I loved it. I think the reason I gave it 4 stars is honestly I wouldn't reread it. I do want to buy it. It is one that will be on my shelves that I love and would definitely recommend. Just westerns aren't for me. Yes, babe? No, good night, baby. He's laying down night-night right now next to Mama. So you need to go night-night. Yep, he's next to me night-night. Good night, Ollie Mae. Yep, he's already asleep right here beside me. Good night, little mama. Okay, good night now. Westerns are just not for me. That was not my cup of tea. And I think if it had been set anywhere other than the West, I would have given it 5 stars. So that's what it is. But those are the 14 books I finished in January. I had a really good reading month. It was a really good start to the year. So far in February, I finished 10. So I'm hoping to beat that January number by 1. And then every month, 1 more finished. We shall see. I have opinions about the last one I finished, and I don't think you are going to like that very much, but it is what it is. Let me know, what was your favorite book of January, and I will see you on my next one. Bye, guys.